areas in your life where you're going to witness the most success. And of course, this comes with a whole lot of fame, what you're known for, business goals, and of course, associations where you're developing these perspectives going on your career goals. Now, in these areas and these placements, these are permitted towards long-term goals, responsibilities, day in and day out, blood, sweat, and tears. And of course, if you utilize these energies in your best capabilities of perfection, you'll be right. Thing is, you're already doing these things by default. But when you know what you're doing and you know how to correlate things into your environment and wherever you got these placements at, these actually create a light, and these actually create a expansion growth where you can basically harness in on things that you're trying to accumulate and of course bring back into your territory. Now, in this perception here, these areas and these concepts will basically help you. Now, your 10th house is the main perspective in this location and in this area. Your 10th house is predicated towards how you're seen, your responsibilities, your duties, your goals, your obligations, and of course, long-term goals and commitment that you're basically trying to put attention and grow. So wherever you're paying attention to will grow. Now, you're gonna have to use 3 houses though. Feel me? Because when we're talking about these elements are correlating to one perspective. Everything revolves around this, but of course, when we're talking about Earth, we're talking about practicality, we're talking about stability, we're talking about routines, we're talking about coming down to Earth and being consistent in these areas. And these areas that you got your Earth houses at, these are going to be the areas where you need to spend time and dedication and motivation towards these perceptions. Now, we're going to basically run it down real fast. And we're going to basically get into these correlations. Now, if you got your 2nd house and your 1st house, you need to marry yourself. You need to cater to yourself. You need to be more committed towards yourself. You need to put a ring on yourself. Feel me? You need to value yourself. Feel me? Because when you value yourself, everything will basically work out into its favor with you. Feel me? You won't have to worry about no issues or anything else. Feel me? You got to focus on valuing yourself, being selfish in this area and in this perspective right here. And the more you do that, everything will basically correlate and, of course, working itself for you. Now, when you got this perception here, your 6th house will basically be in your 5th house, which will basically be your ego or your expressions or your creativity, your talents, and your gifts. Now, what you basically need to do, you need to put some form of effort and routine towards what you do on a day-to-day basis when it's predicated towards your hobbies, things that you cater to, things that you basically want to make a routine, and things that you're trying to make a job. So your job should be a routine. Even though this 6th house and even though this 6th house is placed into your Leo assignment, it pretty much put in perspectives where you may worry a lot in these areas. You may worry a lot about your talents, your gifts, your creativity, and the way you express yourself. Try not to worry about the wrong things. Just worry about the right things. And of course, what's going to also help you in that house will basically be your 11th house, where you're going to basically receive a whole lot of support from unknown individuals and unknown people, places, and things in that perspective. But as long as you're carrying out those characteristics and you're playing a little bit of equilibrium scale and putting a little bit of spice and dice on it, everything will basically work out for you in your favor. Now, if you got your 10th house and Sagittarius, that means your career goals and your status, which you're known for, should be predicated towards long expansions, long experiences, traveling, spiritualities, having faith and belief. That's what you should be known for. That's what you should basically cater to. That's what you should basically put yourself into the pursuits of normalizing. Feel me? Now, you got to make sure you're doing this on a day-to-day basis. You got to be known for your spiritual mechanisms. You got to be known for long-distance travels. You got to be known for taking risks. You got to be known for like going to other lands or other countries and basically, creating your own foundation, creating your own business, or basically wherever you're trying to start. Now, also in this perception here too, you're gonna receive the opposite end when it comes to your 4th house, which is gonna be your home, your family, things that you're familiar with, your surroundings and shit, whatever you're familiar with and things that you're comfortable with. When it comes to that mechanism, you should utilize these things to also bring a little bit of spice towards what you're trying to basically propagate yourself towards. So that's going to basically help you out in terms towards your goal mechanisms. Now, if you got the second house in the second house, this is the house of the power. So you're going to have a whole lot of power and a whole lot of charge towards whatever you're basically valuing. So you need to basically marry what you value. Whatever you value, whatever you have to offer to this world, marry it. Whether it's a person, whether it's you, whether it's a situation that you got going on, make sure you marry that shit. Because that's going to basically help you get stable and practical. Feel me? Once you put a ring on whatever you value, then you marry it. And you're going to make your sixth house is going to be in Virgo. So pay attention towards your health, pay attention towards your routines, pay attention towards things that you do on a day-to-day basis. This is going to basically bring a nice form of equipment energy within your space and your location. And this is going to basically prep you up and get you going towards what you do every day, which consists on some form of consistency. But the consistency is key wherever you got your sixth house at. So you got to make it consistently a key towards paying attention towards things that you're trying to grow. Also, your 10th house is going to be in Capricorn. So you're going to be the boss. You need to be the boss of what you got to offer to this world. You got to be your own boss. You got to have your own shit. And of course, you're going to have a whole lot of help here too in this house too, because you're going to overexhaust yourself when it comes to being the boss. You're going to put a whole lot of energy towards your status, energy towards your career. And you got to love that shit too. For me, if you don't love it, then it's really, the exaltation is not going to work. The exaltation is going to work because you're in the process of wanting to basically want it so bad. But when you love this job that you're doing, or you love this career or this business that you're doing, it's going to basically better help and better work into your favor. If you love it. If you are in this process of wanting to basically have it that bad. Now, we're going to do one more example. Now, if you have the second house and the third house, you need to value and marry your friends, your surroundings, your environment, your familiar spaces, your familiar places. And you need to value your mind, feel me? Because your mind is what's going to be permitted towards taking you places and getting you into locations that cater towards your experiences, that cater towards your boundaries, cater towards your goals, and shit like that. Now, your second house is going to be predicated towards your 7th house. So you're going to have the 7th house here. So pay attention. And pay attention towards your relationships and the way you relate to people. You could be a counselor, you could be a doctor, you could be a teacher, and things that matter depending on how you relate to individuals. For me, even though the 6th house kind of falls in this house, which is Libra, it falls in this house. So what you basically need to do here, trying to make jobs a relationship when you come into this house mechanisms. Find some form of equilibrium and balance, being that the Libra is here, for me. But cater more towards the relationships, or create a new ways to communicate with people, interact with people, have a social connection with people, and things that matter. That's going to basically help you out in this persistence right here. So, and you're going to have the 10th house. Your 10th house is going to be in Aquarius. So having the 10th house in Aquarius means having the 10th house in Aquarius is going to be predicated towards you having a form of business and goal when it comes to social networking, tarot cards, astrology and shit like that. You can also throw that in, or somewhere where you can help people online, teaching, schoolings, and things that matter. That's going to be predicated towards your comfortable nature or your comfortable state. That's where you basically need to go ahead and take charge at. That's where you're going to basically receive the most appreciation. And of course, that's where you're going to receive the most fame or recognition in that house right there, for me. So you got to be the boss of your social networking, or you got to basically be the boss of, when it comes to that house, you got to put yourself into a situation that deals with some humanitarian natures, or just put yourself out there when it comes to helping people. And that's going to cater towards your perception as far as how you trying to gain some form of security, some form of recognition, some form of building your goals towards what you're permitted to in this world. And that's going to cater more into your favors, and you'll receive the most benefit of the doubt in that area. But of course, you got to put in time, you got to put in energy, you got to put in work, and you got to utilize your house placements when it comes to your earth house placements to basically get shit flowing and get shit going in your house, since in your perspective. And that'll basically work out with you and whatever you got going on as far as where you're trying to make it to.